All right, let's dive right into this. Today, we're looking at a deeply terrifying of a tragic romance and supernatural horror, straight out of the quiet, misty hills of Devgar. And look, this isn't just your standard run-of-the-mill ghost story. It's actually a masterclass in how suppressed emotions and local cultural lore can blend together into, well, a completely unsettling domestic nightmare.
We're actually starting this one right in the middle of the action, literally at the absolute scariest moment. So picture this. It's exactly 2 a.m. A guy named Aditya wakes up. His throat is dry, so he stumbles into his dark kitchen to grab a glass of water. He doesn't even bother turning on the lights. But then he sees a figure standing by the sink. Red clothes, hair completely undone, her back turned to him. And when she turns around, it's his wife, Sanjana. Now, the truly horrifying part about all this, he literally just performed her cremation that very same morning. Talk about shattering the illusion that death is a clean exit, right? Okay, part 1. An unfulfilled love. To really wrap our heads around exactly why Sanjana's soul is trapped in that dark kitchen, we've got to flashback a bit. We need to unpack the profound emotional stakes of the incredibly complicated love triangle that kicked this entire tragedy into motion.
So here's how it all went down. Aditya and Sanjana. She was a school teacher, by the way. They fall deeply, deeply in love. But before Aditya can even pop the question, his family steps in and arranges his marriage to Sanjana's younger sister, Shruti. In a totally heartbreaking twist, Sanjana silently sacrifices her own happiness. She tells Shruti that she and Aditya are just friends, completely burying her own heartbreak. Now, Sanjana and Aditya do eventually end up marrying after clearing the air later on, but 3 years later, Sanjana suddenly dies of heart failure. And you see, this creates this massive emotional debt. Sanjana spent years suppressing her true love, only to meet a sudden, tragic end before her deepest desires were ever truly fulfilled. And that brings us to the cremation. Despite doing all the proper rituals, the wood of the pyre merely smoldered. It's producing all this heavy smoke, but it just won't consume the body. Now, in the cultural context of this story, this is a massive, massive omen. It points straight to Mo, which is a profound, unresolved worldly attachment. The whispers going around at the funeral? Yeah, they hit the nail on the head. Her soul was just too obsessed to actually leave this earth.
Which leads us to the next phase, the terrifying possession. Shruti is completely in the dark about the intense romantic history between Aditya and her late sister, so naturally, she steps in to comfort the grieving widower. But by doing that, she totally unwittingly creates the perfect vessel for Sanjana's lingering ghost to latch onto.
You can literally see Shruti's everyday behavior start to bizarrely mutate. For instance, she starts roasting tea leaves in the exact highly specific way Sanjana used to do it. She flawlessly remembers the hidden location of a red dupatta and these silver anklets from Aditya's past, things the real Shruti had absolutely zero knowledge of. She even starts wearing Sanjana's favorite perfume. It is terrifyingly clear proof that Sanjana is slowly, methodically taking over her younger sister's body and life.
So, Aditya quickly finds himself trapped in this relentless domestic nightmare where he basically can't even trust his own senses anymore. He's seeing Sanjana standing right behind him in his shaving mirror, but when he whips around, the room is completely empty. He's hearing the eerie, unmistakable clinking of silver anklets echoing in the dark hallways. But honestly, the absolute most horrifying detail? Imagine waking up at midnight, feeling this immense, crushing weight on your chest and feeling a freezing cold breath right on your face. Yeah, no thank you.
Now we get to the escalating demands. Because, the entity doesn't just stop at lurking in the shadows. Oh no, Sanjana's spirit starts making these highly dangerous, incredibly specific demands to solidify her total control over Shruti's life and, terrifyingly, over Aditya's unborn child. The level of danger just shoots right up. First off, she demands that a holy oil lamp be kept burning totally uninterrupted for 7 straight nights. Okay, creepy, but then she forces Aditya to go out and retrieve the exact temple idol from the very spot where they first met. But the third and final demand? That is where the true terror really sets in. She demands a sacrifice, and we're not talking about an animal here, she wants a human life. This proves conclusively that whatever is left of Sanjana, it's not driven by love anymore, it is completely mutinated into a lethal, obsessive madness. Absolutely desperate to save his pregnant wife, Aditya has to seek out the ancient, incredibly dangerous practice of Tantric Vidya. He travels all the way to a remote mountainous ashram just to find Baba Sujashanath. And the Baba doesn't sugarcoat it. He warns Aditya that trying to separate an obsessed soul from its vessel is as impossibly difficult as separating a human from their own breath. It requires a highly volatile, unbelievably dangerous exorcism ritual. And that brings us to the climax: ritual and liberation. This whole thing basically becomes an all-out, terrifying battle of wills between the ascetic and the supernatural.
Now, the absolute seriousness of these highly specific, culturally grounded ingredients really cannot be overstated. We're talking cremation ash collected on a new moon, a dry peepal branch, black sesame seeds, the whole shebang. The Baba strictly warns Aditya that if they are missing even one single component, especially the soil gathered from Sanjana's exact cremation spot, the ritual is going to fail. And if it fails, the spirit will become enraged and it will more than likely kill Aditya, Shruti, and their unborn baby.
So Shruti is placed inside this protective Havan circle, and absolute chaos erupts. As the Baba starts chanting the liberation mantras, the windows start slamming wildly. Shruti's body is violently resisting. She's actually speaking in Sanjana's voice, screaming that Aditya belongs to her. When the Baba throws the ash, this terrifying, twisted smile spreads across Shruti's face even as she's crying tears of pain. It's intense. Finally, Aditya throws that crucial cremation soil right into the fire. Shruti lets out this absolute blood-curdling scream. Thick black smoke violently erupts from her body, and just like that, the supernatural hold is broken.
Shruti just collapses, completely oblivious to the utter nightmare she just lived through. Aditya ends up telling both of their families the truth about what happened, and they don't waste any time. They pack up and leave that haunted house in the dust. But right before they part ways, Baba Sudarshannath delivers this incredibly chilling final warning. A warning that, honestly, fundamentally changes how we view their supposed victory over this spirit. He tells them that an obsessed soul never truly dies, it just sleeps. So, they might have moved out of the house, but if a soul twisted by that kind of obsession merely slumbers, is Sanjana actually gone? Or is she just waiting in the dark for the absolute perfect moment to return? It's a terrifying thought to leave you with as we wrap up this. Keep questioning what you see lurking in the shadows, and I'll catch you next time.